All right, this is chapter 2-5 of solving multi-step equations. So we've done the one step, we've done the two step, and now we're going to be doing a multi-step equation, section 2-5. All right, let's look at the first question I want to go over. Okay. Let's say I have 15, and then in parentheses I have a 20 plus the variable d equals 420. All right, the question said 15 times 20 plus d equals 420. What does d have to be in order for you to add 20 to it and multiply by 15 and get 420? All right, so this is what I need you to do first. First thing I need you to understand is that we can't do PEMDAS, which is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and do parentheses first, okay? Because I can't add a variable to a numeric value. 20 plus d is what? I don't know what d is. If d was the number 1, then 20 plus 1 is 21. But I don't know what d is. D could be a negative 18. I don't know. So what we got to do, instead of doing PEMDAS and doing parentheses first, we have to do something called the distributive property. The distributive property allows us to get rid of the parentheses altogether. So what we have to do is take the 15 on the outside and multiply by 20, and then take that 15 and multiply by d, and add those two products together. So when we do that, we need to write it like this. 15 times 20 will be written like this. 15 times 20. Don't multiply it yet. Write it out. Then we're going to add to that, go back to the 15 again. 15 times the variable d equals 420. All right. That's how I need that written out. 15 times 20 plus 15 times d. All right. Now, we're going to multiply this and we're going to multiply this. So 15 times 20 is 300 plus 15 times d is just 15d. Put it together without parentheses equals 420. Notice I have this now, no parentheses. Now what you have now is a regular two-step equation. All right. So now what would we do if we saw this in a regular two-step equation? We would subtract 300 from both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Draw your line all the way across, right? That line is not straight, but anyway, they would cancel there, and we have 15d equals 120. All right. Now, what is my last step? We're going to divide both sides by 15. They will cancel, and then d equals 8. That means if I put right in this spot here in 8, 20 plus 8 is 28. 28 times 15, 420. All right. And that is the way that goes. All right, let's look at another one. All right, this one looks good. It goes like this. Let's write this down. This is 6 times x minus 3 plus 10 equals 2 times 3x minus 4. All right. Okay. I want to make sure right here we know that this is an equal sign. All right. All right. Let's keep going, though. All right. So let's, what do we see here? We got parentheses on both sides, and we have numbers outside those parentheses on both sides. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. Distributive property here and here, and here and here. And we're going to do the same thing here. 2 times 3x, and then 2 times that negative 4. See that minus sign? Got to keep that in mind. It's a negative 4. All right, so let's write this out. 6 times x will be written like this. 6 times x. Go back to the 6. All right, back to that 6 and multiply by the negative 3. Don't forget that minus right here. When you bring it on down, it is a negative 3 plus 10 equals 2 times 3x plus, go back to the 2 again, times a negative 4. See that minus 4 right there? When you write it, you can't just write 4. Okay, it got to be a negative 4. All right, so I need to multiply, 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 multiply. All right, so let's do it. 6 times x is 6x without the parentheses, plus 6 times a negative 3 is a negative 18, plus 10. All right, and then over here is 2 times 3x is 6x, plus what? 2 times a negative 4 is a negative 8. All right, so let's look at what we have here. Now, when you get to a step like this, don't start moving stuff to the other side yet. First, see what you can combine together on the same side. So here I have 6x plus, and this part here is a negative 18 plus 10 is a negative 8. And this side, you bring that on down, 6x plus a negative 8. Notice I have the exact same thing on both sides. All right, so I can stop right here, but actually I'm going to go a little bit further so you can see what's going to happen. I'm going to now add 8 to both sides so you can see what's going to happen on both sides. Think you know what's going to happen. The same thing's going to happen on both sides from now on. That's going to cancel, and that's going to cancel. What do I have now? 6x equals 6x. Get it? That part came down. That part came down. All right, now what do I have to do? I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and they will cancel. Both sides cancels, and I'm left with x equals x. So from this line, both sides were identical, actually from this line. This line here, I had 6x plus negative 8, 6x plus negative 8. Then on this line, I had 6x equals 6x, same thing on both sides. And right here, I got x equals x, same thing on both sides. So what does that mean? Well, the answer is the identity. That's the answer, identity. What does that mean? I have the identical thing on both sides. All right. The identity property, the identity answer tells us that the value of x will be any number that you apply for that. So let me explain what identity means. Let's clear this. Identity means this. Let's have a problem like this. What can I plug in for x that will make both sides a true statement? Let's say I wanted to plug in the number 1 on both sides. Let's work it out. 2 equals 2. Is that a true statement? Yes. But wait. Suppose I took the same equation and I decided, no, I don't want x to be 1. I really want x to be 21. Big difference. Now let's work it out. 22 equals 22. Still works. I think you see what's going to happen. No matter what I plug in for x, it'll make the statement true on both sides. That's why the answer here is still going to be identity. When both sides of this equation are identical, the answer will be identity. Even if you say, well, you didn't even bother to work it out. Well, let's try to work it out. If I have x plus 1 equals x plus 1, watch what happens when I work it out. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Look what I end up with. Cancels, cancels, x equals x. Identity. Again, whenever I have the same term on both sides, I'm going to get the identity answer. You might also see the answer of all real numbers also as an answer sometime. Depending on the teacher in the book, you will also see the term all real numbers or identity. Let's look at another one. Let's look at one that looks very challenging. Let's go to this one. This one says, let me write it over here. I need room. 8 times 4 minus 2x equals 4 times 3 minus 5x plus 4x. It's a lot in there. But we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. Remember, this is multi-step equations. All right. So let's look at this. First thing we're going to do is just what we did before. Distribute a property here and here. Distribute a property here and here. And we're just going to bring that part down. Okay. So let's look at it. Let's do it. 8 times 4 plus 8 times a negative 2x. Don't forget that negative sign. I know you see it right here. Don't forget it. All right, let's do the other side. 4 times 3 plus 4 times a negative 5x. Don't forget that negative sign. I know you see it. It's right there, negative 5x. Don't forget to bring down that 4x on the end. All right, what do we do now? Multiply, 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 bring it down. All right, so this is going to be 32 plus a negative 16x equals 12 plus, this is a plus, negative 20x plus 4x. Look what we have. I got x's all over the place. What can we combine together on one side that will allow us to do that? This right here. You see that negative 20x and that 4x? That positive 4x and that negative 20x, they can be combined because they are like terms. So let's bring this other part down. So I have 32 plus a negative 16x, okay, equals 12 plus a negative 16x. That part there will be right here. All right. A negative 20 plus 4 is a negative 16. Got it? Now, if you notice, they're not identical on both sides. So the answer is not identity. All right. Let's do this. Let's move the 12 over. Let's move the 32 over. It doesn't matter which way you go. Well, let's move one of them to the other side. Yeah, let's move the 32 to the other side. So I have a negative 32, negative 32. This will, okay, that'll cancel on that side. Okay, watch what I have here. Negative 16x equals, I got more negatives than positives, right? So it's a negative what? What's 32 minus 12? 20 plus a negative 16x. All right. Now that I move my numbers to the right side, I need to move my letters to the left. So now what I want to do is let's move this over to the other side. Negative 16x here. And that's positive. Positive. I'm putting the positive 16x underneath the negative 16x. All right. Positive 16x here. Uh-oh. Do you see what's going to happen? I think I see what's going to happen. What's happening here is that the negative and the positive 16x cancels on that side. But guess what? Cancel on that side too. I don't have any x's. So what am I left with on the left side? Nothing. Zeros over there. What am I left with on the right side? The negative 20. I have no variables. Interesting. You have to have a variable in order to solve for a variable. Anytime you run into a problem like this and your variables gets canceled, the answer is no solution. No solution. All right. I'm going to give you an example of why this is no solution. Look at this. Suppose I give you a simple problem that says x plus 1 equals x. How can I solve this? What could x be to make this a true statement? Let's plug in a number at random. Let's say we said that x was the number 5. If x is 5, then this on this side must also be 5. When I work this out, what do I get over here? 5 plus 1, that's 6. What's on the other side? Just 5. Does 6 equal 5? No. Let's try it again. Maybe we got to use a different number. All right? That ain't going to work. So let's look at this down here. Let's write it again. X plus 1 equals X. And this time, let's use a different number. Maybe we need to use a different number. All right? Let's say X is 10. All right? If X is 10, well, look what we got. On this side, what do I have? 10 plus 1? 11. What's on the right side? 10. Does 11 equal 10? No. It's not going to work. If you look at the equation, on the left side, whatever X is, I'm always adding one more than I am on the right. Look at the left side. I'm always adding one more than what it is on the right. So this will never equal. The left side will always be one more than the right side. So this is another one where you're going to have no solution. And you might say, well, you never worked it out. Well, what happens if you work it out? Well, let's work it out so you can see it. If I have X plus 1 equals X, let's get the X out the way. Let's move the X to the other side. Let's subtract X from here and subtract X from here. What happens? Well, what happens is they cancel, and so do they. They're gone. That's gone. I'm left with a 1 on the left side and nothing on the right, so I have to put in a 0. I got to have a value on the right side. Does 1 equal 0? Does 1 equal 0? Let me help you out with that. And this is what we write. Put a slash right through it. No, it does not. It will never, 1 will never equal a 0. That's why this is no solution. Okay? That may not look like the word solution, but it is. All right? So that's no solution. All right? That's why that one's like that. Okay? All righty. Let's look at one more quick example. Something simple. Let's look at this. Negative 8 times W minus 6 equals 32. Something simple. Let's go through it. All right. Let's distribute a property. That's negative 8 times W plus distribute a property. Negative 8 times negative 6 equals 32. Notice I'll put that plus sign in the middle. You're always adding the next thing you're multiplying. Got it? We're adding those two products. All right. So let's get those products. What will this be here? That'll be a negative 8W without the parentheses. And let's get these two here. When we multiply, what do you get? 48. All right. So now what do we do now? We are going to get the W alone by first moving the 48 out the way. Let's subtract 48 on both sides. And what we have here, let's change my color again. Negative 8W. They cancel. And I have more negatives than positives. So there's going to be a negative 16. All right. Now I got negative 8 times W. The opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide by the same number, negative 8. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side, negative 8. What happens on this side? They will cancel. Negative divided by negative is positive. 8 divided by 8 is 1. That's why they cancel. I'm left with W equals 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Negative divided by negative is positive. That is my answer. All right. Great job.